When I first came here to TrueFire, one of the concepts was to create sort of a catalog or a library of music that comes out of the blues tradition and how that music not only shows us where we've been, but sort of takes us to new places. And one of the things that I've discovered in years of studying the blues and studying people who studied the blues is that frequently you'll hear somebody say something like, I discovered the blues through rock and roll, or I discovered the blues through R&B. And frequently that blues that they discover is electric blues. It's some of those iconic figures of Chicago blues or Detroit blues or some other scene that has, solidified and become a band sound. But one of the things that is interesting is to always remember that this music doesn't come out of thin air. No music comes out of thin air. So the more you know about what fed into the music, the better you understand the music that you're playing and the more creativity you have because you're sort of operating from a broader palette or a deeper well of inspiration. So what we're trying to do in this particular package is to talk about blues roots. Now, sometimes the influence of one artist to another is pretty direct and it's easy to see. But sometimes it sort of comes from a family of tunes or a family of licks or a family of sounds and rhythms. And when you understand the source of this material, it helps you to understand more deeply what it is you're playing. And there's something else I really love about the idea of how the acoustic blues, which is what I really feel comfortable delving around in, how those acoustic blues inspire a later generation of electric blues artists, is that when you listen to the likes of Son House or Robert Johnson or Tommy Johnson, and then their students later on, people like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and John Lee Hooker and Elmore James, you'll notice that these later artists still have a lot of the abilities that the earlier artists did. They could command a stage by themselves. Didn't necessarily need a band, although they all had bands, but there was something about their music that would allow them, if necessary, to come out on a stage with a guitar by themselves and still be able to entertain a crowd or to convey a musical idea. That's sort of much different from the specialization of a bass player, or you have to have a drummer, you have to have a lead guitarist and a rhythm guitarist. These guys came from a culture where you were the whole show. You were the whole shebang. You showed up with a guitar and you entertained a crowd. If that was drinking songs, or if those were dancing songs, or if those were mood pieces, whatever it was that the crowd needed, that's what you provided. And so for people like myself, who sometimes I work with a band, but often I'm on that stage by myself, kind of like John Hammond said, hey man, ain't too many cats do what we do. And man, I was floating 20 feet above the earth when John Hammond said that to me. Much like John Hammond and Taj and Alvin Youngblood Hart and a lot of musicians, my good friend Guy Davis, who go out on the stage by themselves with an instrument, you want to have a grasp on how to convey that whole package, how to imply that whole sound. So a couple things to concentrate on this package. A is to listen for influences, because sometimes you need to rework or renew something that you hear from an earlier tradition. And the second thing is, don't be afraid to innovate. And so I hope that in this package, we'll show how a musician like Muddy Waters heard a musician like Son House or Robert Johnson or Booker White and took what he needed to make it Muddy Waters. So now let's don't set Muddy Waters in stone, that's impregnable, but let's take the inspiration that we get from him on into the music of the 21st century. So get your guitars, get ready. We're going to go on a little musical journey from the acoustic to the electric to explore the blues at its roots.